Hello everybody, welcome back to the Stone Dogs 40k. This is battle number 5 in the Fires of Anarchy mission pack. This is called Aggressive Surge. Two armies face off in a no-holds-barred battle for supremacy across a battlefield littered with the detritus of war. Each commander issues the order to advance and the opposing forces rush toward each other. So, same as before, this battle, these missions can use any of the 6 deployment maps in the core rulebook. This is for 8th edition. So what we do is we create the battlefield, players roll off, and then starting with the winner take turns in placing 6 objective markers on the battlefield. Each marker must be more than 12 inches away from another marker and more than 6 inches away from the battlefield edge. So we've got number 6 just down there, number 1, number 3, number 4, and number 5, and then number 2 is just tucked just down in that corner. So the players roll off, and then the winner determines which of the standard deployment maps is used, and then picks one of the deployment zones for their army. Their opponent uses the other deployment zone, starting with the player who lost the roll. Each side takes turns deploying 1 unit on the battlefield until all of their army is deployed. Players' models must be set up entirely within their deployment zones. So we've got Orks versus Space Marines. The Space Marines finished deploying first. So the player who finished setting up their army first chooses who takes first turn. If they decide to take the first turn, their opponent can seize. So there's a few rules that go with this battle. Number 1 is strength in numbers. So each player scores 1 victory point for every enemy unit, I should say, that is destroyed during the battle. And then aggressive surge is the mission rule, so from the start of battle round 2, but before the next enemy movement phase and after the enemy has drawn strategic objectives, the friendly player rolls a d3 and may elect to remove the corresponding number of enemy players' strategic objectives from their hand. These strategic objectives are discarded. Random battle length, strategic objectives, each player must draw 4 strategic objectives at the start of the battle. Then before their opponent has conducted their aggressive surge action, they must draw enough strategic objectives cards to always have 4 in play. Then we've got Slay the Warlord, First Strike, and Line Breaker. So as I said, Space Marines finished deploying first and have elected to go first. The Orks will try and seize, and they do. So it's Orks turn number 1. So at the start of the battle, we need to draw 4 tactical objectives, and we've got Grab the Loot, Witch Hunter, Stomp 'em Boys, and Behind Enemy Lines. So movement is coming right up. So end of the Orks movement phase for turn number 1. So everything basically down here has advanced, apart from a couple of units, which I'll show you in a moment. So advanced by 6 inches. Both of these advanced 3 inches, so I've gone 8 in total. The Gorkanaut and the 2 Weird Boys and the War Boss have stayed in the centre. Over the far side, the 2 trucks, which one of them contains 5 Storm Boys, and this one contains 5 Storm Boys and a mech. These are both advanced, 15 inches for this one and 16 inches for this one. Then we went into the psychic phase, and the blue Weird Boy, who's just down there, cast the jump on the 2nd edition Orks, which were here. So they have reappeared just over here. Let me just remove these 6-sided dice, which mark the 9-inch boundary. So they're now in over this corner, which gives the Orks line breaker for this turn. So shooting is next. Orks turn 1 shooting phase is over, so shots from the rocket launchers and the guns on the Gorkanaut and the War Boss have taken out 3 of the intercessors, so 1 from this squad and 2 from this squad, and these guys shot, the only thing they could shoot at was the rhinos, and did no damage, because basically these guys, they can't hit because they're -1 for camo cloaks and -1 for cover, so that would be a 7-up. So that's the end of shooting. The trucks over the far side there shot their assault guns and did no damage. Everything else was pretty much out of range, so shooting is over. Charge phase, there are 2 charges to declare, which are going to be the trucks over the far side. Actually 3 charges, because we're going to charge here as well. So I'll do that and then come back to you for the fight phase if we make it. So 2 out of 3 successful charges. These guys lost 2 to Overwatch but rolled an 11 on their charge, so easily made it in. Second edition bases are obviously a lot smaller, so they're a lot more densely packed than you would normally see with the 32mm bases. But there you go, that's the luck of the draw. And then over here, one of the trucks made it in, one didn't. No damage on Overwatch, but 1 wound on Overwatch, but obviously these guys have then kind of piled in. So that's the end of charges. Fight phase is next. So into the fight phase, and the Space Marines are down to 2 in this squad, and there are 3 of the boys gone. And then over this side, no damage into the intercessors. However, the truck is now down to 7 wounds remaining. That's the end of the fight phase for the Orks. Just need to do some morale, and then we'll look at objectives. At the end of Orks turn number 1, no issues with morale anywhere on the table. So they've scored 1 point for line breaker. Grab the loot. We need to roll a d6, which we didn't do, so my mistake. And we get a 3. So do we control 3? No, we don't. Number 3 is just there. That might have changed my movement, but never mind. Witch Hunter, we haven't scored. Stomp 'em. We haven't destroyed anything yet, and behind enemy lines. 1 unit completely within the enemy's deployment zone. We do at least have that, so that's an extra point for the Orks for this turn. So that's 2 points for the Orks at the end of their turn number 1. So Space Marines objectives, we've got Witch Hunter, defend objective 1. Number 1 is there. Kingslayer, so D3 to take the Warlord out. And then priority orders, which is objective number 3. And again, objective 3 is just there. So movement is coming right end of movement for the Space Marines. So the 3 rhinos basically have dropped their squads and then just moved standard 12 inches. So we've got this one on objective number 1. Needs to stay there for 2 turns. Obviously the squads are out here, so can support here if necessary. These guys have all just moved forwards, and the Redemptor is just shuffled across to the right. The scout bikes have whipped around this side of the crates to get onto objective 2 to defend that against the Orks. And then this unit and the lieutenant have just moved forwards, as has the Razorback over the far side there. So that's the end of movement. Psychic is next. End of the psychic phase, and the Primaris Librarian cast a lightning call onto this squad of boys. Took out 5 in the first pass, and then a further 3 more. 2 more, then did a smite and took out an additional 1, and then this librarian cast a smite onto the truck, which failed to go off, but then cast Might of Heroes onto that lieutenant, who likely will charge in there in the charge phase. So that's the end of psychic. Shooting is next. So end of shooting for the Space Marines. Another couple gone from here, from pistol shots from the 2 snipers that are left. Bolt gun fire and special weapon fire into this squad have taken out 6, and then rapid fire from the storm bolters on the 3 rhinos have taken out another 4. So that squad's been depleted a little bit. Shots gone through to the middle here to take out a few more of this squad. The Redemptor shot through as well and took out several. And then over the far side, we've got shots from the grenade launchers on the scout bikes, which have knocked this truck down to 7 wounds. A few shots from here into this truck as well, and the what's it called, Razorback, did no damage. So that's the end of shooting. Charges are coming up. End of the charge phase. We've got the 10-man squad that was here has charged around into the back of this Ork boy squad. The lieutenant, who's got Might of Heroes on him, has charged into the side of the truck, And then we've got a charge from these intercessors, no losses on Overwatch, and then the Razorback has just rammed into the side of this truck as well. Thinking about charging over here, would perhaps be good to tie up this squad of boys. That is a lot of firepower going in, but since they only hit on 5s, I think I'm going to do that anyway, and we'll see where we are. So that's where we end up after that charge. No damage on Overwatch, obviously, hitting on 6s with Daka, but having to roll 5s to wound. Didn't actually get any wounds. So this one charged in, then this one charged in, and these guys have all just piled in. So I think there's only 2 that aren't currently in close combat range out of that whole squad. So after the pile-ins, that's not too shabby. So that's the end of charges. Fight phase is next. So into the fight phase for the Space Marines. Nothing much going on here. The Rhinos have lost a few wounds. Over here, the Scouts have been dispatched. However, the boy squad have lost a further 6 or 7 of their number, and one of this Space Marine squad was killed by the boss knob. Over the far side, this truck on D3 wounds D3 attacks, got 3 attacks and managed to do 2 wounds on this intercessor squad, so took one of those guys out. The lieutenant didn't do any damage, even though he's got Might of Heroes on him. And then here, no damage anywhere in this little melee. That's the end of the Space Marines' turn. Let's just have a look at their objectives. So, secure objective 3, no, we haven't got that one. Kingslayer, we haven't got that one. Defend objective 1, we need to hold that until the next turn. And Witch Hunter, we haven't got that one. So that is the end of battle round number 1. The Orks get 1 point, I think, this turn. Or do they? Let me just have a look. Yeah, so the Orcs score 1 point for destroying the scouts from that building over there. So that puts them on 3 points compared to 0 for the Space Marines. So Orcs turn 2 is coming up next. So Orcs turn number 2, so we need to draw an additional card, and we get mission critical objective. So we need to roll a d6, and we get number 4. So we need to control it already. If we do, we get a point. Number 4 is, where is number 4? 2, 5. Oh, it's there. Number 4. So we don't control it at the moment, but if we control it at the end of the turn, we will get a point for that. So that's the cards for the Orcs. Now we can also do the aggressive surge. So basically we roll a d3 and we get a 2, and I can remove 2 cards from the Space Marines' hand. So we are going to remove secure objective 3 because they'll get that in the next turn, and I think we will also remove defend objective 1. There we go. Okay, so movement for the Orcs. End of turn 2 movement for the Orcs, and we've got Storm Boys and a mech that have just deployed out of this truck, and Storm Boys out of this truck, obviously more than an inch away from the Space Marine units. We've got the blue weird boy, who's called Grig now, this guy down here who's just moved back to get onto objective 4. The war boss has just moved around. This guy, this weird boy, has advanced. Standard move of 5 inches on this boy squad, just sort of moving up through the central area. The war bikes have just cut back across to get onto objective number 3. And that is it for movement for the Orcs. In terms of psychic, There was an attempt at a smite here which failed to go off. This guy is too far away from any of the Space Marine units, so that's the end of Psychic as well. Shooting is next. End of the shooting phase. The war bikes that were in range have managed to take a wound off of this Rhino, and then the Gorkanaut took 3 wounds off it with the missile launcher. Pistol shots into this Rhino have taken a wound off. Pistol shots here have taken another Space Marine out. The 18 shotgun on the Gorkanaut took out 2 of the scout bikes, and then the big shooter took out 1 more of these Space Marines, the intercessors, so there's only the sergeant left here. And that's pretty much it. No other shooting, so that's the end of the shooting phase. Charge phase is next. Okay, so end of charge phase for the Orks. The big blob of boys that was in the middle here declared a multi-charge against everything in this sort of HQ sort of area. Made it in on the charge, lost 2 to Overwatch, and then have piled in, so pretty much everything there is now in combat. And then over on this side, the Storm Boys and the mech here all have made it into combat with the intercessors, and then similarly the Storm Boys here that were at the back of the truck have charged around into the intercessors on this side. That's the end of charges. Fight phase is next. So into the fight phase for the Orks in turn number 2. Not much going on in this combat. I think 1 more of the intercessors has been killed. The truck's on 7 wounds. The truck here has gone, didn't explode, so these guys have then just consolidated into the Storm Boys. Over this side, a couple more Space Marines gone, and they managed to take out 1 of the Orks in retaliation. In the centre, this big blob of red boys has been whittled down to literally the boss and the 2 special weapons. The lieutenant's lost a couple of wounds, and the sergeant has lost a wound. And then just over here, this Rhino's lost another wound. The Rhino's managed to do no damage on the boys. So at the end of the turn for the Orks, we need to just do a morale test for the boys in the centre, and with a 2, and they lost 9 this turn, so that makes 11. So with a leadership of 7, there's only 3 left. The war boss is too far away to do anything about it, so those 3 are routed and off the table. So a quick look at the objectives for the Orks. So we've got grab the loot. If we achieve that at the end of the turn, we get a point. So we've got a point for that because the bikes are on it just over there. So that one is achieved. Witch Hunter we haven't got. Stompin' Boys, 1 enemy unit destroyed during the fight phase this turn. Haven't quite achieved that yet, so you need to carry that over. And then mission critical objective number 4. If you control the corresponding objective marker, you get 1 victory point for that as well, which is right there. So that's 2 points for the Orks for this turn. Space Marines turn number 2 is coming right up. So Space Marines turn number 2, just need to get back up to 4 objectives. So we've got defend 4, Kingslayer, Witch Hunter, and feigned retreat. And we also need to do aggressive surge. So we need to grab a D6, and we get a 3. So we can remove 3 of the Ork cards. 1 victory point if an enemy model is slain by the Warlord in the fight phase. Well, don't think that's going to happen this turn, so we'll leave them that one. Stompin' Boys, enemy unit destroyed during the fight phase this turn. Yeah, that's possible, so we'll take that one. Witch Hunter. Yeah, Both librarians are on full wounds at the moment, so I'm going to leave them that one, and then Master the Warp will take that one. Now when it says D3 cards removed, does actually say may elect to remove the corresponding number, so we have to remove 3. So I'm going to take away Get 'em Boss and leave the Orks with just that one. So Space Marines turn 2. So at the end of the movement phase, these 2 units have kind of started getting into the action. So this unit, which was sort of there, has just standard moved across to get into combat range of this depleted squad of Orks. The other unit, which was kind of in this area, is just standard moved forwards. There is a heavy bolter in there, but to be honest, for him to shoot at anything, there's not really anything he can shoot at, so it didn't matter whether he moved or not. Rhinos have all stayed put. Redemptor has stayed put, and then we've got the Intercessor Sergeant and the Lieutenant just up in the centre here. Primaris Librarian has followed them. The Cataphracti Captain and the Librarian have just moved across this way, and then everything else has stayed put. So Psychic phase is over. So there was a Smite that went off here which failed to go off, and then a Lightning Call which also failed to go off. Smite into the Storm Boys from the Terminator Librarian, took off 1 wound. He then cast Might of Heroes on himself in preparation for that charge. That's the end of Psychic. Shooting is coming up. So end of Space Marines shooting. We've managed to get a couple of wounds off the Gorkanaut. One, would you believe it, from the Lieutenant who's just there, and then one from the missile launcher, which is in that Space Marine squad over there. And then the Redemptor shot through to the bikes and took 2 out. And then another one was taken out, or sorry, another wound was taken off by the heavy bolter, which is just there. That's the end of shooting. Charges are next. End of the charge phase, couple of easy charges here. So the Terminator Librarian is into the Storm Boys, and this Scout Biker is into the mech. The Sergeant made it into the Weird Boy, and then the Lieutenant attempted to charge and rolled a double 1, so even with a command point reroll he still would have been an inch short, so didn't bother with that one. And then finally over here, this Space Marine squad rolled a 7 on their charge, so they've with a pile in, they've managed to wrap right the way around the back of this Ork Boy squad. That's the end of charges. The fight phase is next. So it's the end of the fight phase for the Space Marines for turn number 2. We've still got combat going on over here, a few hits on either side, some wounds taken. So there's literally 2 there left from the original, sorry, 3 there left from the original unit. And there's, I think, 1 gone from this unit, with 3 or 4 more of the Ork Boys gone. Just over here, the mech has been taken out by the Scout Biker, 1 wound off the Intercessors, and I believe 1 of the Storm Boys has been removed as well. And then here, the Librarian managed to take a wound off, but then the truck took a wound off the Intercessors. No damage on either side otherwise. The Sergeant has been taken out by the Weird Boy in the middle, and then all the way over here, the boys have lost 1 more, but they've taken another wound off here and another couple of wounds off here. That's the end of the fight phase. In terms of morale, Space Marines down here, they lost 3 and they are good. They roll a 1. That's it. That's the end of the Space Marines turn. So in terms of objectives, didn't score Feigned Receipt or Kingslayer. Defend objective 4 currently is all the way over there. I've got some strategic reserves to come in the next turn, so we may be able to get onto that one. And then Witch Hunter, we've got the Weird Boy down to 3 wounds, but that's about it. So that's the end of Space Marines turn number 2. As it's the end of battle round 2, we're kind of a little bit behind, I think. I'll just tot up the points. Yeah, so we do get a point for the boys squad that was destroyed here, and for the truck, so that's 2 points. but that is it so far. So Orks turn 3 is next. So for Orks turn number 3, we've got hold the line. Need to have 3 units within the deployment zone. Currently we have got 3, so we've got the Gorkanaut, the War Boss, and the Warlord and the bikes. Witch Hunter, take out a Psyker, priority orders, and we drew Kingslayer for that one, so destroy the Warlord, and then advance, which is completely the opposite of hold the line, so I've either got to go for one or the other. So yeah, so that's it. Let's get into movement and we'll see where so into the movement phase. And I forgot, I've still got a weird boy down here as well, so 1, 2, 3 within the deployment zone should get us that point. The war bikes have advanced 3 inches, so they've gone 17 and got up into the center, and then the other weird boy has advanced into the middle here to challenge here. So that's the end of shooting. Sorry, movement, getting all muddled up. So Psychic is next. So this guy can only do 1 power. He is going to try and cast, I believe it's called the Crunch. Let me just check. Yes, he has got the Crunch, but we're going to cast a Smite instead. So that goes off on a Perils. So he takes 1 mortal wound, which drops him down to 2 wounds remaining, and then that's D6 mortal wounds. Sorry, that was going on this lieutenant, which is the closest visible enemy. For 2, that kills that guy, so he's gone. And then the only other Psyker I've got is too far away. He's tucked down behind this building, so can't cast anything of any use. That's the end of Psychic. So shooting is next. End of the shooting phase. The War Boss shot his mega super duper bolt zapper gun thing across to that squad over there and took 2 of those guys out. The War Bikes shot into the Redemptor and took a wound off, and then the Gorkanaut shot through the gap there into the same model and took it down to 8 wounds. That's it for shooting. Charges, only 2 charges. The weird boy has charged into the Primaris Librarian, no losses on Overwatch, and then the Cataphracti captain has heroically intervened, and then the Warbikes did a 9-inch charge around the corner into the back of this combat. So that's all of the charges complete. Fight phase is next. End of the fight phase for the Orks, and the weird boy's been destroyed, as has one of the Warbikes. No damage received in return. Then come over to here, we've lost another intercessor, but whoops, one of the Storm Boys is gone, and then the lieutenant has consolidated back into combat. A couple more intercessors gone from here, 1 Storm Boy gone, no damage on either of 2 vehicles, and the Librarian is unharmed. He will also consolidate back into combat. Over here, quite a good result from the Space Marines in terms of this unit. There's only 2 Orks left, so again these will all consolidate back into combat. And then finally over here, the Rhino in the middle, which had 2 wounds left on it, has been destroyed, didn't explode. And again, consolidation here. I think what we're going to do, can we tag both Rhinos? That Rhino will get to fight, but doesn't really matter because it only really hits on 6s. So yeah, so we're going to consolidate these guys and tag that Rhino, and we'll put the War Boss into that one. Let's get all these guys in. There we go, that'll do for now, and then they can pile in the next combat. So the Rhino gets to attack and does not hit. So that's the end of Orks turn number 3. In terms of morale, they lost 7 over here. 7 plus 4 is 11. Their leadership, I believe, is 8. So those 2 guys have been routed. In terms of objectives, we've got hold the line, so we've got the Weird Boy, Gorkanaut, War Boss all in the home deployment area. Witch Hunter we haven't scored, Kingslayer we haven't scored, and Advance we'll have to wait until next turn. And if we look at the Space Marine cards, we can do Aggressive Surge and remove 3. Falling Back, destroy the Warlord, defend 4, and a Witch Hunter. So we'll definitely take away Witch Hunter, and we'll take away destroy 4, and we'll take away Feigned Retreat because that's quite an easy one. So just the 1 victory point for the Orks for this turn. Space Marines turn 3 is next. So redrawn to get 4 cards, and we've got secure objective 4, so you need to control that at the end of this turn, which is over there. We've got Kingslayer still, Mounted Assault, which is destroying a unit with an attack from a biker or a land speeder. Now the only biker we've got left on the table is right there, so we may be able to engineer that combat so that he takes out or takes the last wound off. We'll have to see. And then defend objective 3. Objective 3 is right there. Movement is coming up. So at the end of movement for the Space Marines, and we've got some reserves that have dropped in. So we've got Inceptors on objective number 3, and then we've got a 9-man assault squad. Sergeant's got a Thunder Hammer and a combat shield. There's also a Flamer in there over just here. That's the Flamer just here, 9 inches away from the Weird Boy, and that end is 9 inches away from the Gorkanaut. And then over in the centre, this squad of Space Marines, which was here, has just done a standard move to get into combat range of the Ork boys. The las cannon on this squad has moved outside of the building to get line of sight through to the Gorkanaut, and the missile launcher there through to the Gorkanaut as well. And then the Redemptor has just moved forward slightly to start challenging into the back of this combat in the centre. So that's movement. Psychic. So Psychic for turn 3 for Space Marines is going to start here. So we're going to do a Smite into the Warbikes, which goes off on a 5, which it does, for D3 mortal wounds. So that does 2. So kills that guy and drops the Warboss down to 2 wounds. And then we're going to do a Lightning Call on the same unit, so that goes off on a 7, and it perils, so D3 mortal wounds for 3. That guy has 5 wounds total, so it's 2 wounds remaining for you, good sir. There we go, and then that does D6 mortal wounds for 3. So that Warbiker has been dispatched. Then over to this side, and we're going to do a Smite into the Storm Boys, which needs to go off on a 6, which it does. There is a Weird Boy within deny range, but you can't deny it. D3 mortal wounds for 1. So that's a wound on to the Storm Boys, and he's then going to cast Might of Heroes on himself. I think we're going to command point re-roll that. Ha! And it fails. That's a 4. Okay, that's the end of Psychic. Shooting is next. So end of the shooting phase for the Space Marines for turn number 3. Got a wound off here through pistol fire, and here through pistol fire. The Weird Boy closest enemy unit has been taken out by the pistols on this squad. Fire from the heavy weapons on these 2 squads have taken the Gorkanaut down to 11 wounds. I think there was a wound off from the Inceptors as well. The only thing left to shoot is the Redemptor. Again, everything is going to shoot into here. Okay, that's shooting now complete. 1 wound off the Gorkanaut from the Gatling cannon. The other weapons did no damage. So that's it for shooting, and it's now the charge phase. So charge number 1 here, complete. These guys made it in, no issues whatsoever. And then just for a crack, I thought I'd charge the Inceptors at the Warlord, not thinking they'd make it. The Warlord scored 3 hits on Overwatch, but no wounds. And then they rolled an 11 on their charge. So they've obviously made it in. Now the question is, this guy, does he want to get involved or not? These will be obviously -1 to hit because they're flyers, so probably leave him where he is. That's the end of charges. Fight phase is next. So the end of the fight phase, the Space Marines have lost none of their number. One of the Orks has gone. No damage on any of the vehicles. The vehicles managed to do no damage either. The War Boss has managed to, the Warlord I should say, has managed to take out one of the Inceptors and taken no damage. Over the far side here, the Storm Boys were taken down to 1 wound remaining by the Lieutenant, and then as per the tactical objective, mounted assault, the Sergeant on the scout bike with his attacks took the last wound off, so that's gained D3 victory points for that objective. And then here the 2 Storm Boys have been taken out by the Librarian, and the truck has managed to do no damage. The Razorback needs to do his attacks and he gets no hits. So that's the end of Space Marines turn number 3. Let's just have a look at objectives. So secure objective 4, we haven't got that one. Kingslayer, we haven't got that one. Defend objective 3, we could have got that one if we'd have stayed on it, but we decided we wanted to go for Warlord instead. So really it is literally this one. Score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit was destroyed by a White Scar biker. So we get 1 point for this turn. Let's go and have a look at the Ork objectives and roll a d3, and we get a 3. So we can take away advance, Big Game Hunter. They've got 2 Rhinos and a Redemptor on the table, plus the Razorback, which is on 4 wounds. So we're going to take that one away, and then it's a choice between D3 points for Warlord or D1 point for Witch Hunter. So we're going to take away Kingslayer. There we go. Orks turn 4 coming up next. Okay, so the Orks are on 6 victory points at the moment, and the Space Marines are on 4. Looking at the cards, we've got secure 2, which we need to hold at the end of the turn. Now number 2 is there, so a little bit too far away. More speed, go faster. Score 1 victory point if 3 or more Ork units advanced. Witch Hunter is still there, and then here we go. Wah! Score 1 victory point if 3 or more Ork units from your army made a charge move this turn. Now, charge-wise, can't do that one because the only unit that's left that can charge that's not already in combat is the Gorkanaut, so we can't score that. We could potentially score Witch Hunter if I can get close enough. Not going to be able to score that one, and probably not going to be able to score that one. So really now I think for the Orks it's a war of attrition. Just got to try and take out as many Space Marine units as we possibly can. So here we go, movement's coming up. So at the end of the movement phase, the only thing that's moved is the Gorkanaut, which has moved 8 inches across from its position over here. The reason for that is that there's a stratagem that I'm going to put on it when we get to that point. That's it for movement. There is no psychic because both Weird Boys are off the table, so we're going straight into the shooting phase. End of the shooting phase for the Orks. So everything on this Gorkanaut shot across to these units here. So we've managed to get the Intercessors down to 1 wound left on the Sergeant. And then the scout biker was taken out by the rocket launcher, so not too bad. And then that's it really. Not much else going on because there's not really much else that can shoot. There's a pistol shot into that Rhino which took a wound off. Other than that, that's it. We did use more Dakka on the Gorkanaut, so we did have over Dakka going off on a 5 and a 6 instead of a 6 because he'd moved. that meant that instead of hitting on 5s, he was hitting on 6s. So with the 5 and the 6, actually meant that he got more shots in than he would have done normally. So that's well worth using in that situation. So that's it for shooting, and it's charges next. Into the charge phase, and the Gorkanaut has charged into this Razorback. The stratagem I wanted to use was ramming speed, which basically meant instead of rolling 2d6 for a charge, you can roll 3d6, which I did, and you rolled an 11, which was easily enough to get in. You then roll a d6 for an enemy unit within 1 inches, and on a 2+, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. And guess what? I rolled a 1, and that's no good. So could I command point re-roll it? Yeah, I'm not going to, but yeah, possibly. Anyway, fight phase is next. So it's the end of the fight phase for the Orks for turn number 4. The Razorback has been taken out pretty definitively by the Claw of Gork, using crash mode, which is strength times 2 minus 4 AP for d6 damage. Actually managed to do 4 hits, and got four of those hits through because the AP took the Razorback to a 7+ save and actually inflicted 15 wounds. So the Razorback didn't explode. The Intercessor Sergeant has been killed. The Librarian is still in combat, and there's a wound or 2 more off of the truck after he got hit with the force stave there. There's another Insectagon just from here, and again no damage on the Warlord. And then finally over the far side, the Space Marines managed to take out 1 more of the Orks, but they've lost 5 of their number in return, and there's another wound off of that Rhino. So at the end of turn 4 for the Orks, let's have a look at objectives. So secure 2, we haven't got that one. Didn't do 3 advances, haven't killed a Psyker, and we haven't got, here we go, wow. So let's go and have a look at the Space Marine objectives, and they need to draw 1 more to get them up to 4, which they get defend 5. So we are going to take away secure 4 because the assault squad will probably get onto that this turn. Defend 5, so 5 is, I believe, the one that is just tucked down just over there. So we're going to take that one away. Defend 3 is at the other end of the table, and Kingslayer, so we're going to take Kingslayer away and just leave them with defend objective 3, which is all the way over there. So Space Marines turn number 4, rapid deployment, claim their heads and scour the skies, which we can't achieve. So claim their heads, score 1 victory point for each enemy character. Then rapid deployment, so we need to choose a tactical objective, an objective marker that is not within 18 inches of any models from your army. So that will be number 3, which is down there. So let's just mark that one so we know which one it is. There we go. And then we've got defend 3 as well, which means we need to get onto it and stay on it for 2 turns. Okay, movement is coming right. End of the movement phase for the Space Marines for turn 4. Both of these units, the 2 left in this one and this one, which I think has got 9 left in it, have advanced. This one advanced 6 inches, this one advanced 5 inches, so they've just got into support range of this combat here. The Redemptor has advanced and rolled a 5, so it's gone 13 inches right up to here, looking to engage with the Warlord. Similarly, the Primaris Librarian rolled a reasonably good advance and has got across to here, so that is now closest visible enemy for psychic purposes. And then over this side we've got the Warlord here. Did advance because he has a 4-inch move, and he's also got whatever it's called, the armor, Indomitus I think it's called. Any advanced roll has to be halved, so he only moved 6 inches in total, but he's still within charge range. And then these two guys have just moved forwards just a little bit to get into easy charge range of the truck. We then got the assault squad, who've advanced but only rolled a 2, so they've advanced up to here to start challenging into the back of the Gorkanaut. Could be a bit messy. So that's the end of movement. Psychic is next, and we are going to start with this guy. So first things first, good old smite, command point reroll, get that on a 7, so D3 mortal wounds on the warlord for 1 wound. And then we're doing a lightning call, which is a 7, so we get that on a 9. So that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds for 3, so he's currently on, let's just mark that, he's on 4 mortal wounds at the moment. And then on a 4+, he suffers another 1, so that puts him up to 5. On a 5+, he suffers another 1, so that puts him up to 6. And then on a 6, he would have suffered 1 more mortal wound, so that's 6 wounds off of the war boss, the warlord. So we're then over to the Terminator Librarian, and he's going to cast Smite into the truck, which he gets for D3, and he only gets 1 wound, so that drops him down to 4. And he's then going to cast Might of Heroes onto the Chapter Master. Now this goes off on a 6, which he gets on a 7. Psychic's over, shooting is next. So we've got to run through the shooting for Space Marines, and because pretty much everything advanced, the only thing that didn't is these two guys here. Basically nothing can shoot, apart from the Fragstorm grenade launchers on the Redemptor, which are assault weapons, but there's nothing within range, so that's the end of shooting. Charges are next. So end of the charge phase. The warlords made it in. These two guys obviously made it in fairly easily. I have just sort of sorted this bit out a little bit, because this guy, when he charged the Razorback, should have remained an inch away from the truck. So I've just sorted that. And then the assault squad charged in, and they've lost 2, I believe, or 3 to Overwatch. So there's only 6 of them left now. Over in the centre, the Primaris Librarian made it in on his first roll. The Redemptor, however, failed. I'd already used a command point over here to get these guys in, so couldn't re-roll that, unfortunately. And then all the way around the far side, we've got the 2 Space Marines that were on their own have made it in, and then this squad has also charged in. But because of space, can only get 4 of them within combat, so that's the best we can do with that at the moment. That's the end of charges. Fight phase is next. End of the fight phase for Space Marines for turn number 4. The truck has gone. Damage done by the fist on the Cataphracti captain. Unfortunately, it did explode, so took out the sergeant. Took 3 wounds off this guy, 2 wounds off him, and a wound off of the captain. They've then consolidated forwards towards this guy. The Gorkanaut has taken out another 3, I believe, of the Assault Marines. The Assault Marines did a few wounds in return, so the Gorkanaut's down to 6 wounds. Over in the centre, Primaris Librarian has been killed. Did take a couple of wounds off the war boss, and that Inceptor managed to do no damage. And then finally, all the way over the far side, another 8 of the boys have been taken out by the Space Marines that can actually fight. There's a wound off that Rhino, and 1 of the Space Marines was killed. So, end of Space Marines, turn number 4. Scout the Skies we couldn't achieve. Enemy character destroyed, haven't done that yet. Rapid deployment, haven't done that yet. And defend 3, haven't done that yet. So the big fat 0 by the looks of it for Space Marines for this turn. Yeah. Hey ho, there we go. Right, moving on. It's Orks turn number 5 coming up next. So at the end of Space Marines turn, we can obviously remove D3 of these cards, which we get 2. Now the Orks have already achieved Witch Hunter, so we're going to take away. I don't think they'll achieve Secure Objective 2 this turn. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. They can't achieve that one. And they can't achieve that one. So if I take away that one and that one, there we go. Orks turn 5 coming up. Right, so Orks turn number 5. Objectives wise, we've got Defend Objective 3, Secure Objective 1, Supremacy, and here we go, it's still on the board. So that's about charging. So we won't achieve that one, we won't achieve Supremacy. Objective number 1 is being contested at the moment, it's over there. And Defend Objective 3, which is there. So again, that one we need to have at the end of 2 consecutive turns. So pushing it a little bit to get to that one. Obviously we scored Witch Hunter at the end of the last part of the Space Marines turn in combat, so that point we get this turn. Let's get stuck into the movement phase, and to be honest, there isn't any movement. There isn't any psychic. There is a little bit of shooting because we've got some pistols over here which can shoot in combat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not him, 6 pistols into the Space Marines, hitting on 3s, wounded on, oh, there's a couple of dackers in there, wounded on 4s, 3 up saves. Okay, so there's 2 more dead Space Marines out of this babble here, so we'll take those 2 away. So we're straight into the fight phase, basically. So into the fight phase, and the Gorkanaut has taken out another one of the Assault Marines. They in turn did no damage. These guys are obviously not in combat at the moment. The last Inceptor has gone from the centre here. This guy could have consolidated, but decided to stay where he was. And then over the far side, there were 6 Orks taken out in the last round of combat, which left 3. The Orks rolled a 5 on their morale test, so 5 plus 6 is 11. The remainder of that squad then fled the battlefield, so these guys have just consolidated forwards 3 inches towards the war boss. So at the end of the Ork turn, let's have a look. So Defend 3, no. Secure 1, no. Supremacy, no. And here we go, no. So literally the 1 point for Witch Hunter for this turn for the Orks. So let's just have a quick look at the aggressive surge, and we get a 2. So we will remove, claim their heads, and still got a Psyker on the board, so we'll take Master the Warp. So Space Marines get Domination and Supremacy in return as replacements. Right, okay, so Space Marines turn 5 is next. So end of the movement phase for Space Marines. Dun, dun, dun. And we've got an advance on this Rhino to get over onto objective number 3, which is just tucked down there. These 3 squads have all just done a standard move of 6 inches, so we've got 3 in this squad, 2 in this squad, and 5 in this squad. This Rhino stayed put, still in shooting range, obviously, of the Warlord, and the Redemptor has just stepped forwards out of the central area just to get into combat range. And then over here, nothing much really, just shuffled these HQ units forwards just to get into unfailable charge range of the Gorkanaut. So smite on the Gorkanaut from this Librarian, which he gets on an 8 for 2 mortal wounds. That drops him down to 4. and then going to recast Might of Heroes back onto the captain, which again goes off on a 10, so he's back up to extra attacks. So that's the end of Psychic. It is now the shooting phase. So end of the shooting phase. Really the only shooting that was going on was bolt pistols here into the Gorkanaut, but no damage. The Redemptor fired everything into the war boss, the warlord, and took 1 wound off, and then everything here fired into the war boss, the warlord, and took another wound off. Just got to fire the twin bolt gun on the, or the storm bolt or whatever it is, on the Rhino. So 2 shots hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, and 1 more goes through, so he's down to, whoops, 1 wound remaining. So charges complete. Redemptor made it in, lost 2 wounds on Overwatch. These guys then charged, failed, command point reroll, failed, and then over here, easy charges. These guys literally only had to roll a 1, so they're all in combat with the Gorkanaut. So fight phase for Space Marines. So that's the end of the fight phase for the Space Marines, and as you can see, the Warlord has gone from here. The Redemptor took 2 wounds off, he only had 1 wound left. The Gorkanaut, which was on 4 wounds, had 8 wounds taken off it by the captain here, who's got Might of Heroes. So that is the Orks tabled. So end of the battle, basically. So just going to do some points totting up, and we'll see where we're up to in terms of objectives for the Space Marines. Defend 3 we needed for 2 turns, so we didn't do it. So we've got that one. That's number 3, which has got a Rhino on it at the moment, just there. Domination, didn't get that one. Supremacy, needed to control 3 and didn't get that one, but we did get Slay the Warlord. So 2 points for the Space Marines at the end of their turn number 5. I'll come back to you in a moment. Battle in terms of tactical objectives, that is objective cards, it ends on 7 apiece, so from that perspective it's a draw. However, the Orks managed to destroy 10 of the Space Marine units, which gives them 10 points, so that puts them on 17. The Space Marines, having cleared all of the Orks off the table, actually score 13, so that puts them on 20. So it's 20-17 in the Space Marines' favour at the end of this battle. Now, as mentioned right back at the beginning, I'll put the link to the Fires of Anarchy missions in the description in this video, so if you want to download them and have a go yourself, by all means do so. Completely free, no charges or anything. This is a free channel at the moment, so and anyone's got any feedback or any suggestions, then by all means let me know. I think there's one more Fires of Anarchy playthrough that I'll do for the final mission, and then I'll be moving into 9th, so I'll see you there. Thanks for watching and take care of yourselves.